I've met before. As Ron explained, my job is actually twofold, and one is, I would say, the technical side of things, and the other thing is the, let's call it the competition side of things. Yeah, please come up. Who is this? Yeah. Now that first parameter, what Ron is talking about, it has to be accessible to the whole club. And what I try to emphasize in talks also, that people who don't necessarily want to compete will also be a substantial part of the club, because it's a social thing, a social group. So you have people that really want to be fanatic and people who don't necessarily want to be that fanatic. Now, in order to tackle that, I would say the technical side is ultimately suitable for that, if you consider rowing as an activity, not so much as a sport. If you want to be a bit more fanatic, then you turn your thoughts and say, okay, I'm going to approach this a bit more as a sport. For me, as a coach and then informed trainer, it's quite easy to go along with that. Because I would say I'm used to following people almost on a daily basis, trying to keep track of their progress and trying to stimulate them to make progress, ultimately to reach their goal. Now, if you do it as an activity, what would your goal be? That could be for different people, different things, and we could have a whole evening or evenings talking about goal setting and stuff like that. Because I believe you don't have to be that fanatic to get something out of it. And for me, the fun in doing an activity is noticing that you're making some progress. So it comes down to learning something new, controlling what you already knew, and do it just a bit better. And I think if we do that, we can also address the people that come down to the sheds to sit in the boat with their friends, go around the lake, and have a good time over there. Not necessarily, oh, we're on the clock here, so let's see how fast we can get from here to there. But we also need to cater for those, of course. But for that second group, the competition, yeah, we aim to come with sort of a monthly training plan divided into weeks, where we have a certain amount of training, where I have a bit more information about how competition operates, and I can say, well, if you really want to aim for the top tier, that's that. And then if you're less enthusiastic, let's call it that, you just skip a couple of those things. But it would be good if the whole club would know what everyone else is sort of doing. Yeah, activity-wise, competition-wise, something like that. So that's in the making. But for the whole club and in that activity, and trying to get people to make those steps, we have to come up with some sort of technique evolvement. And the best way, I think, to think about it is that if you look at a club somewhere on the water, you don't have to understand too much, but just looking at a group of people sitting in a boat doing something, you can probably distinguish, hey, they're doing this, or I get this impression. Oh, they're rough, or they're smooth, stuff like that. And so you can almost say that every club has a sort of footprint. And we've talked a little bit about it. Now, how do we create the Argonauts footprint? And I'm not at all loaded with any history of that. So I can bring in fresh ideas, but of course it has to resonate within the whole group. Well, so far I've found that in the direct coaching that goes pretty well. The things I've picked up as a coach is that almost the guys that I've coached have a pretty good touch. And that's something we can really use. But if I extrapolate that through the whole club, we can really use that, because rowing is so much more than just giving something a whack. There's a real feel to it, a touch. The glide of the boat, if you ever have sat in a boat that glides, that's almost hypnotizing. So how do we get there? But because I think that's first where we have to focus a bit. Before we want to go fast, we want to go well, comfortable, enjoyable, those kind of things. So I've come up with, at least for the next couple of months or next 4 months, with a sort of progression. And the first step would be really a starting point. You can say starting point or end point, but we've chosen the back turn. Why is that? Because it's a very definite position. Anyone who's learned a bit of rowing will immediately come up with some sort of image. There, you just sit. And of course I'll have to explain a bit better what we initially mean by that, but I think it's a good starting point. In a way it's an end of a stroke, but it's also the start of the build up to the next stroke. And then the next month, my suggestion is to work on handling throughout the stroke. Because I see a lot of people who don't handle the oar, but sort of drag on the other end. Well, that has an influence on how you sit in the boat, so it has an influence how you are able to manage the boat in terms of balance, in terms of movement, but it's also a bit of comfort, I would say. And I'm not so sure that a lot of people have really learned or do really understand what it is to properly handle. So we'll tackle the handling and the body positions. And then the third one, I think, comes after that. That's force application and power generation. I have to be very careful that every now and then I confuse force and power. Actually, they're two different things. And so force is something, if I push on this, I exert a force, but I'm not generating any power. Why? There's no moving component. Because the definition of power is force times velocity. So in order to generate power, you have to have speed. If you want to have speed, you need movement. So a super strong guy that doesn't move, doesn't put any power on the system that he tries to exert any force on. So those are things we'll get to. And then the last one that would be, or it would tie into the theme of RPR, would be really rowing together, understanding what it is to move as one. And even you can sort of extrapolate that to a single, also you move as one. Yeah, but let's go back to the first one. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Sorry.
That's alright.
That's
Come
okay.
in.
Sorry.
That's alright. Make yourself comfortable somewhere. Alright, so back turn. Right? Just I would say briefly, and I think why is it important that we all here have a bit of an understanding? If we have a bit of an understanding, we can also distribute that to the people that we're working with throughout the week. And so, as a club, we're working for these, 2.5 weeks on the same thing. And it could be very well that people start to recognize from each other. But also, I believe very much in feedback, and feedback is like open, right? It's just an opinion or an observation. It's not a critique in that sense whatsoever. So I would say, oh, that looks good. Sounds very familiar probably to you. But nobody will ever tell you, oh, that didn't look good. Right? Well, I'll tell you. I mean, in my coaching, I say, could be better. Maybe. I have to be careful that we don't perceive it as being negative. But in a way, I would like to see that since we're all then on the same page, we also assess each other a little bit. Why? Just because your observation will give steering to your own movement, to your own behavior. Yeah, so don't be afraid, I would say, to look at it or talk about it, because you'll learn yourself. So back turn, how does it look? Maybe, is it okay if I sit on the table? Yeah, Mr. Bos. Oh no. just make sure that it doesn't.
Hold on to your drink there, Josh.
Yeah.
That's what TV does.
Okay, right. So basically, it's just sitting there, right? Sit in the back turn in the finish. Now, how do I get in that position? Well, I get in that position by stretching my legs out. And coincidentally, there's a boat attached to my feet. It's not so much attached to the seat I'm sitting on, because the slide or my seat can roll a bit on those slides, but I have a relative position in space, or relative to the boat, let's put it like that. The only thing that's fixed really is my feet, and this can move a bit. Now the back turn is defined as the position where that seat has its bowmost position, and just is fixed there, right? And so it's defined by my leg. What happens if I'm not so strict in my legs? Then I have a floating seat somewhere on the slides, which for a boat is not very pleasant, because all those masses moving on a boat doesn't give that boat any reason to be stable. What gives a boat reason to be stable is there. Masses are put stiff. And it doesn't mean that you have to be stiff like a stick figure. It's a stick figure. But you make sure that that mast doesn't shift anywhere. Right? Of course, you come out of a stroke, so if I'm bow side footed man, stroke side footed man, I draw into a certain position. But that's, I think, one of the most difficult things to really figure out how to come into the back. And there's a lot of choices for style. Some would say some clubs or some theories really come there by drawing in those arms. And so you see people sitting there and they're drawing those arms. Probably recognizable, right? Then there's people who really want to have everything together. Right? Well, my theory is that you come into the back by a whole body activity. Because if the legs don't give any support, then I can pull what I want. But if that seat is floating, what am I pulling against? Or how am I doing stuff? So basically it's a whole body experience. Now, we don't want to get too floaty or stuff like that. But in a way, I really would like to see that people incorporate their whole body. And why then is the activity of rowing so interesting? Because you use your whole body. But by dividing it up in chunks, and that's where Marco and Tom also come in when they learn to row, just to make it a bit more understandable. But what I'm trying to do, and I think the guys that I directly coach can also say something about it. I'm trying to sort of open that up and make it a bit more like in general, like it's a whole thing. And I drag in all your senses. Your taste, taste, water, but I mean your tactile senses, your hearing, stuff like that. So I really see it as a whole body experience. Now, if you want to go into that, please be my guest, then we can do that. In this instance, of course. Let's just say, okay, how we get there? Okay, the whole body is working somewhere there. Now, sort of drawing here because I'm trying to avoid all these obstacles. But basically my movement should be guided by what I have in my hands there. Drawing to the back. Basically I'm the strongest if I have this stick. That's good. If I'm perpendicular to the stick and I'm drawing that down. No, it's not if I'm here. I try to draw that down because there's a vector going in the wrong direction. So basically I want to be perpendicular 90 degrees on that handle, and that gives direction to my movement. So as you can see, we'll come there next month, oar handling is already quite an issue. But for now, you have to do with my image. I come there from whole body movement and I'm suspended between my hands, or the handle I could say, and the foot stretcher. So there's a tension chain, or compression chain if you want to call it that, through my arms, through my back, through my legs, all the way there. And that provides for resistance in my hands and pressure against the foot stretcher throughout the stroke. So